Oh, here's a good one. So, how can I read theology so that I develop and grow my interior life, and not merely amass in facts or knowledge?
Based.
Okay, so I think the best advice is to learn about mental prayer. There's a good article actually on the Dominicans of Avrier um, prayer, and to really, it's called an easy method of mental prayer. Really, what you have to do is you have to learn how to like savor. You got to learn how to savor what you're reading. I fell into the trap of just trying to like get through a lot of material as quickly as I can, so I could, I don't know, say that I've read this or say that I've read that. Because a lot of times people ask you like, "Oh, have you read that? Have you read that? Have you read that?" There's no shame in saying no. Um, because what you need to do rather is you need to make sure you read things well, both on a literary point of view, because you're just not going to learn well if you're just rushing through. And then also from a spiritual point of view, is make sure you just let the things hit. You read something very profound, and a lot of things, if you're reading good theologians, are very profound. You just gotta sit and savor for a few minutes and contemplate for a few minutes, and maybe even pray. Also, making sure to definitely continue to begin and end your studies with prayer is very important. A strong devotion to the rosary, because that is going to be the school of contemplation for the Catholic theologian. Just making sure you are. It's really not insanely difficult to do these sort of things. You just have to make sure you're disciplined about it, and just to make sure you're not trying to be a theologian for vanity's sake. I think it's probably the biggest problem that many have is they read theology for vanity. They don't necessarily read it because this is really, and I'm just making up percentages here. 70% of you out there, you don't read at all. You watch YouTube guys. You don't read theology. That, like, let's be honest, me and you looking at one another right now, 70% of you, you don't read. Of the 30% of you who do read, I don't know, maybe another 70% of you, you read for vanity's sake. You're reading stuff to say that you've read it, or to sort of, I don't know, like amass your book list or whatever it may be. Like, oh, I've read that, I've read this, I've read that. Um, Really, that's not a good way of going about it. Is just going through a lot of material doesn't really help you as much as you think it is. What really helps you is reading things well and reading things in a contemplative manner. Because if you truly are um, interested in theology and you will truly live it out, most of you uh, are in your late teens, early 20s. You have like another, I don't know, 50 years, 60 years at least of study time. Just chill, just take it slow. If it takes you forever to read something and it's important, like if you need to take a few months just to read the freaking catechism or something, I don't know. It takes you a few months to read it. And during that time, you're not reading all these other books people are talking about. Who cares? Who cares, to be honest? Are 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 these other people somehow responsible for your spiritual life? Are these other people going to stand before the throne of God with you? No, of course not. Are they going to stand before the judgment seat in front of you or something? No, no, of course not. Just worry about yourself. Um, Read what you need to, and read good books. And don't do it for vanity's sake. Just do it because you need to. And do it at your level. Don't try to read beyond your level. Um, because a lot of people they hear about the various things that we sometimes mention, and then they get super excited and want to jump into it, and they just rush through reading it as fast as they can in order to say that they've read it. And to be honest, a lot of you who are saying that you're reading it, you never finished it. You kind of just read a little bit of it, and you don't understand anything you're saying. You really just wasted your time and simultaneously puffed up your pride. It's just stop doing it. Like I sort of hate the culture of my general audience. Sorry, guys, but you need to hear this because it really is true. Like if you're being honest with yourself, how many of you actually read, and if you do read, how many of you actually do it for the right reasons of reading? It really is a small percentage left, and yeah, I think that's my rant. Hassan, do you want to deal the coup de grace?
I agree with all of this. I think it's really frustrating, to be honest, that a lot of people seem to get most of what they learn about in these things from like conversations and YouTube videos. This is a really like inappropriate and low effort way to engage with things of such high importance. And to go back to the original question, uh, when you basically like, yeah, mental prayer is the answer, but specifically, I think, especially for a beginner, you should have a habit of putting down what you're reading frequently and praying about the thesis that you've just read and accepted, right? Like, never learn a theological proposition without praying on it. Uh, this isn't an absolute rule, but like generally speaking, you shouldn't just blast through a bunch of material without praying about most of what you've read. Like at least the most principle, um, like theses in what you're reading ought to be prayed about. And whoever says they don't have time to read is lying to themselves and to who they're speaking to. Everybody
Yes.
has time to read.
In lying in grave matters is a mortal sin. So